I get so spoiled with two screens at school that when I'm trying to do this on my laptop at home, I'm spoiled. Okay, welcome to the AP US History info session. We're super glad to have y'all here and just talk about what is AP US History is going to look like at Crosstown High next year. So thanks for being here, and we'll get in here, get started. I am a history nerd, and Mr. Stewart is too. So I think it's just helpful to ground as history lovers, just where we enter into just discussions of history personally first. And so, and it's funny, we both chose James Baldwin quotes. So I don't know what that means, but, and so I chose this James Baldwin quote, and I won't read it to you, but I think what really is pressing upon me, especially just in our current moment, but I guess at every moment in history, is this idea that the way that history is literally present in all that we do, that it's living and active, and it just shapes our experiences, our identities, and even our hopes. So we're just really looking at, so as I enter into history spaces, that is just a frame that I enter into with, that history is literally present, affecting all that we do. And interestingly enough, Mr. Stewart shared a similar quote. Reed, you want to say anything about the quote that you had chosen?
Yeah, yeah. One of the things I sometimes I really like short quotes, because sometimes I feel like they say even more than the longer ones. So this one says, I'm what time, circumstance, history have made of me, certainly, but I'm also much more than that. So are we all. That idea of identity, I think, is such a juicy topic in history, and it's actually one that comes up in U.S. history. Identity is one of the big themes of AP U.S. history, so it's one of the reasons why I chose this one.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, I want to talk to you guys about sort of the overview and rationale about how AP US history is going to be structured, how it connects to the Crosstown competencies and philosophy, what the test is going to be look like, and then what this content enrichment experience is that we're going to offer. And we'll have some time for questions, and we'll be in and out by certainly by 6:30. So next year, and this is a shift, all Crosstown High 11th graders will be enrolled in AP US History for the school year and will take the AP exam. I've been telling that to students this week, and they're like, what? Why? Why would we do that? And here's why. Because Tennessee high school students are required to take US History to graduate from high school in Tennessee. And there's no perfect history course that aligns with the Crosstown High pillars of project-based competency-driven learning, as well as our commitment to diverse learning spaces. And holding those two together is really sort of foundational to me and to Mr. Stewart as well. So when we were choosing between high school history, US history courses, and looking at the structure of the sort of standard Tennessee US history course and the AP US history course, we just decided that the AP US history course itself is better aligned with Crosstown High's mission, vision, and values than the sort of general Tennessee history course. I want to tell you a little bit more about that. I'm going to talk a little bit fast through these next couple of slides. I'll share the slide deck at the end. Actually, I can share it at the beginning too. But if you have questions in the chat box, feel free to put them there. And I'll answer them, stop and answer them after slides, and certainly we'll have time at the end. So when the AP US history course is really designed around two things: skills and content. And when you look at the AP US history skills, they look at historical thinking skills, and these 6 are listed here, and historical reasoning processes. And they really emphasize essentially understanding systems and processes and how systems work together, and also building arguments, like identifying claims and evidence and building claims and arguments. And if you look at the way the AP History course describes its skills and reasoning processes, they really closely align in the language and structure with the Crosstown competencies of reading critically and leading inquiry. And some to expressing oneself boldly too. So there's just looking at the AP US History skills and reasoning processes. There's just some real clear alignment with Crosstown competencies. So embedding those together is sort of a natural flow. I'm going to get up and let my dog out, and I will tell you about, I'll be so excited. We're going to talk about content next. Take a minute and read this slide. These are the 8 core US history themes. So take a minute and I'll ask you what you notice in just 10 seconds. Oh, bless. I do not miss teaching from home. Okay. What do you notice about, especially here, like to hear from like 10th graders, what do you notice about these themes in general? What do you wonder? What do you notice? What do you wonder? You see any overlap with your 9th grade history course or social studies course?
Yeah, I see that it's kind of related to AP Human Geography.
Yeah, Kai, you wanna? Yes, there's clear overlap with Human Geography and AP US History. Yep, Kai, you wanna add something?
I don't think sociology is a history class, but in sociology, we talk about power a lot and people and social structures.
Yeah, absolutely. Politics and power and social structures are definitely themes in sociology that we've looked at this year. And so as I was looking at the US history themes, they really align well with the sort of social studies coursework that we've selected at Crosstown already and what y'all are thinking about. And the US history course specifically really emphasizes themes and not just like a lot of history courses, and the Tennessee course really thinks about like history as like a timeline, and sometimes it can just feel like you're like driving, like running your engine around the railroad track of the timeline and have to stick on this thing. But the way that the US history course designs around themes really creates opportunities for just like diving deep as we develop different projects. And there are 3 particular at Crosstown competencies that the US history themes really align well with: learning from the past, engaging as a citizen, and designing solutions. And so as we're building project-based learning experiences in this course, or Mr. Stewart is rather, these are sort of the competencies that we'll be planning with and emphasizing. So there's an exam for AP US History, and you will all be taking it, whether or not you choose to elect for the content enrichment. That's just part of, like, if we enroll students in a course with integrity, you'll take the test at the end. So the AP US History exam is divided into 2 sections, and you can see here the section 1 has 55 multiple choice questions, and it's kind of cool. They're arranged in groups around a particular stimulus, like a text or an image or a political cartoon or letter. So it's sort of like, anyway, it's not, so it's like 55 multiple choice questions. And then there are 3 short answer free response questions, 2 essay-based questions. And then there's 1 document-based question where they'll give you at least 3 different historical documents. And you'll write an essay that responds to a historical question using those essays, using those documents. So that's the structure of the history exam. Oh shoot. So here's the deal though, as we approach AP US History and we enroll all 11th graders in that course, we will not cover the sort of depth and breadth of course content in a way that will really prepare you for the AP exam in a way that sort of like if you're in like a sort of traditional high school that's going through AP content will. So everyone's going to take this course, but if preparing for the AP exam, if you're just a history nerd and love learning deep things about history or exploring historical rabbit trails, like whether or not Helen Keller was in fact deaf and blind, Riley. Yes, can you answer it? Then we're going to offer some content enrichment experiences that for students who either just really love history and want to geek out with us or with Mr. Stewart. See, and I'll definitely be barging in there because I love the history geekness. And also really be prepared just to have a successful score on the AP US History exam. There are sort of, there's going to be summer learning. We're going to read a survey text, collect some primary sources, and then there's going to be a one-day summer workshop at the week of July 26th. And we'll be finalizing that date by the end of this week. There will also be bi-weekly study sessions and one-on-one sessions as a group of sort of the content enrichment cohort. And the nice thing about having everybody in AP US History is that you have access to AP Classroom online, which just gives you some independent, we'll assign different sort of tasks in there and exercises, but as for if you're concerned about test prep, there's a great access built in through AP Classroom. And we'll also be working with you on some sort of monthly writing assignments to prepare for that writing piece of the course. I would say they were asked us to estimate how much time. I would imagine that's 20 to 30 hours over the summer, depending on how fast you are of a reader, probably closer to 20 if you're a fast reader and 30 if you're not, which is also fine. You can listen to it on audiobook. We don't care. We just want you to learn it and geek out on it. And probably 2 to 3, if you really want to be prepared for success in the AP exam, probably 2 to 3 hours per week during the school year of practicing on AP Classroom extras classes, that bi-weekly study sessions, extra texts is where the content enrichment sort of experience will be. Okay. So I think the big question for everybody right now is like, what am I committing to do in the summer? And these are the 3 pieces: to read this US History survey text. And again, you can listen to it on audiobook, that's fine. We're going to give you a list of 10 primary sources using the AP framework. And you're going to make your own sort of source collection. And they're going to have, like I said, this workshop the week of July 26th. I don't know. Can you wait? It's going to be an awesome recording. Okay, people. So those are sort of the 3 pieces of the summer commitment for the content enrichment. So that is the big idea. If you are interested, so I think the big takeaways here are you will all be enrolled in AP US History next year. The choice that you're making here is whether you want to commit to this content enrichment experience that will sort of come alongside the AP US History course and thinking about sort of going deeper in content, covering more content than we'll be able to in our classroom. And also preparing for the AP US History test in a sort of more traditional test prep way. There is a QR code here so if you want to commit to that content enrichment experience, there is, I need to, a commitment form. The commitment form is filled out by the parent. So if you're here without your parent, you need to talk to your parents as you're making your course selections and just think about, which APs are you signing up for? And how are you managing your time? How does that work with your summer? So that commitment form that's QR coded here and in the chat box, it will, is a commitment to this content enrichment experience. Yeah, that is, so that's pretty much the gist, the info part of the session. It's 6:17 and I would love to answer your questions. What questions do you have? I know you have questions.
So this will be our 11th grade like history class, correct?
Yes, this is like 11th grade history. There is y'all will take US government your senior year as like the required sort of for graduation course. There is an AP US government and politics course that y'all are eligible to enroll in next year as an elective, but you wouldn't, it doesn't replace AP US history. Like you will definitely sign up for US history. So I had some questions at school about, does US government replace US history? No, you'll enroll in US history next year. Yes. Good question, Anna.
Are those 2 to 3 hours you said in the time frame like synchronous in a class, or you give us material and we go over it?
Asynchronous. And I think like we haven't confirmed, but probably like every other week a study session, either like during lunch or after school, sort of once we get the school schedule for next year, every other week checking in together, sort of like, where are we? Let's recap where we are. And then also in every other week, check in with Mr. Stewart of just like, hey, are you still on board? Just, yeah, making sure you like are on track to be prepared for the exam. But yeah, mostly asynchronous. Well, it will mostly be like exercises during the school year, like exercises in AP Classroom that are already built and or additional texts, I would assume. And we're sort of like, we're building this class together, but then I'm passing it off to Mr. Stewart. So,
and I will say,
Yeah.
if you've never had any experiences with AP Classroom before, it is incredibly user-friendly and incredibly well built out, extremely useful. It has everything that you could ever possibly want as someone getting ready for an AP test. It is a wonderful platform, and I cannot wait to show it to you.
question, Walt. Okay, folks, I know you're sitting on other questions. What questions do you have? Anna.
So as the primary collection, you might have mentioned this, but do you give us like a list of what we can choose from, or do we just do it on our own for the summer work?
We'll be giving you like a framework using the AP like skills and themes, and you'll like find ones. Well, we'll give you some resources of where to find them, and you'll be like looking for a source that does this, a source that does this, a source that does this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Robin, you have a question?
Yes. Do all students have access to AP Classroom, or just the ones who are enrolled into in the extra
Content,
class? Yes.
All students will, and that's another sort of bonus reason to enroll all students in AP US history. Yes. We will de-emphasize, we will use AP Classroom for like texts and resources like exercises in class, but since we're committed to project-based learning in the class, it won't sort of drive the test preparation cycle in the general class. That's a great question. Okay, folks, what other questions? Hey, Hannah.
Oh, I have a
Sorry.
question.
Yeah.
So, like, what exactly are we doing on the summer? Because I'm kind of confused about their part.
excuse me. We are finalizing that, but it will be essentially be reading a book, collecting 10 primary sources, and coming for one day the week of probably Thursday, the 29th of July, to just sort of like share learning and get to know each other and get to know Mr. Stewart. And yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Does that answer your question, Shania?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. We'll have finalized like text in the exercise, like in the assignment. Certainly before the end of the school year, probably in the next couple of weeks.
I have another question. The week of July 26th, what if we're not there? I mean, no, what if we're like not in town?
That is okay. Like if the goal is to share summer learning, not to like create some like the point of this content enrichment experience is like to get y'all ready for the AP exam. We do want, if Mr. Stewart is going to spend extra time like planning and designing learning for y'all, to like have people like use his time well, like to take advantage of it. Like, but if you've done the summer learning beforehand, that's not a problem to not be there. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, Shania, you have a question?
Yeah. Okay. So, like, are there any like extra textbooks, like, or textbooks like for the environmental science? We have like a Barnes book that we use. Like, are there test prep books for AP?
There are. I think we'll pretty much just rely on AP Classroom as our primary. If we get into it and we realize like we need another book, then we can certainly like pursue that, but we're going to rely on AP Classroom because it's designed by the AP people who create the test for students to, and it's good. Like, that's why we chose the AP US History course, is like the way that they think about thinking and reasoning and themes and history is like really aligned to a lot of the ways we talk about like competencies and people at like already in our school culture. So it's like, why would we, like, let's use the thing that the people who designed the course and created the test use. But if we get into it and we're like, well, we actually think we feel like we need something else, we'll get something else. The Crosstown way.
I'll add one thing that I have been getting a number of questions about after interest meetings end, and that's when do you have to submit these interest forms, or the commitment form, sorry. So we're asking for those by the end of next week, which is when next week we're going to be, you'll be choosing all of your courses for next year. And so by that time you will have decided, yes, I'm going to do that, or no, I'm not. And so we will want the commitment forms by the end of next week so that we can follow up and, make sure that everybody is set. And I've seen a number of these names in other interest meetings, which is awesome. I just want to give one little word of I don't even know if it's caution, but I was talking with another student this week who is at the end here, toward the end of AP, and said, I did what you told me not to do last year, and I signed up for an AP class that I wasn't really that interested in just because it was an AP class, and I wish I hadn't. So this is not me trying to talk you out of doing this, but if you are considering multiple AP classes, think about what you're truly interested in and what you truly want to spend extra time this summer and during the school year on. Don't just take it because it's the harder option. Take it because it's something that you really want to do. End of sermon.
Yes, true. And you'll be enrolled at AP US anyway. So if you're just in it for the points, like, they're there. Do the content enrichment if you really love history. Yeah, Mr. Stewart, would you add anything to that?
Yeah, you know, a lot has been said about the content enrichment, and I think it's a really important piece. I don't want it to get lost that, again, there's 10,000 benefits to taking an AP course outside of taking the test. That test is a big old cherry on top, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that just being exposed to that difficulty, that rigor, and then also the resources that you get, that is extremely helpful for you as a high school student anyways. So like, even if you're not planning on doing the content enrichment, like no problem. There's still tons of benefits.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, and that's why like we started with like, this is why we chose this course structure for everyone to take, because like we believe that it's the best course offering structure, set of standards for like what we're about at Crosstown in general about learning. Yep. Okay, it's 6:28. You have 2 more minutes for those burning questions, and I'm closing this Zoom up. I did just I realized I had not shared appropriately the slide, like set the sharing settings in the slide deck the first go around. So I just added the slide deck back to the chat box, and it's set to anyone with a link can view it. So if you want to go back over any of those pieces, it's available to you.
So I first of all want to apologize for coming in late. I hadn't planned on, I kind of switched what AP classes I wanted to attend a couple days ago, as you probably as Miss McRitchie knows, and so I didn't set a reminder. But I'm sure if there's anything you burning things that I need to know, you will tell me in advisory. But just to be clear, the content enrichment is not necessarily another class, but like study sessions.
No, yeah, it does not take another space on your schedule. It's not like it's not taking another space on your schedule. It's done outside of school, like outside of the standard class periods. Yes.
Okay.
That's a great question, Hannah. And yes, and Hannah, if you want to look at that slide deck, and I can either ask me next week in person or on, on Zoom, anyway, sending me an email. Yep.
And the recording will be linked in the AP document as soon as it processes, and Mr. Holcomb makes it a YouTube video for us.
Yeah. Okay. 6:29. Burning questions? Got one in your slide? Nobody? Okay. My email is on that last slide, which is in the slide deck. And I will also just put in the chat box for good measure. Mr. Stewart will be a Crosstown employee as of the summer. And so you can bug him then, but he's still teaching in another school. And so in the meantime, bug me and I will pass on any questions that he must answer on only him. So my email's in the chat box. If there's any parents still on here, you kids have it already. The slide deck's there. And yeah, it's going to be a great class. Y'all are amazing. I already told Mr. Stewart I was super sad that he got to teach y'all US history next year. I have a lot of feelings about that, but I'm going to pass you on into good hands. Okay. Love y'all. See you. Bye. Good night.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye. Bye, Reed.